is Greg Gordon of McClatchy Newspapers. By 2006 and 2007, the U.S. market for securities backed by risky subprime mortgages was beginning to weaken. But many Wall Street firms that had plunged deeply into this lucrative market, including investment banking giant Goldman Sachs, still were laden with tens of billions of dollars in holdings that threatened to become huge risks. It was during this period that an offshore market for related securities exploded, mainly through a Caribbean tax haven insulated from most regulatory scrutiny. In that 2-year period, as the U.S. housing market crested, Wall Street firms and major European banks sold more than $500 billion in securities through the Cayman Islands. Securities expert Gary Kopf explains why.
And the Cayman Islands were particularly appropriate because these credit default swaps remained secretive, unregulated, with certain tax advantages, and without recourse to the courts, by and large, if things went bad.
Many of these deals included sophisticated bets called credit default swaps, in which one party promised to effectively insure another for millions of dollars, even hundreds of millions of dollars, if a pool of securities soured. McClatchy traced at least a dozen deals in which Wall Street giant Goldman Sachs set itself up to be at least the initial buyer of protection. Kopf compares what Goldman and other firms were doing to a game of old maid.
Some of the firms that were creating these complex securities began to be worried about the way the marketplace was evolving, particularly the subprime mortgage marketplace. And they wanted to hedge their bets. Many of these firms had accumulated tens of billions of these securities on their own balance sheets, and they wanted to sell them to somebody before they went bad. A little like a game of old maid. They wanted to pass the old maid to somebody else. Fortunately, there were some other players to whom the old maid could be passed, unfortunately for them.
While investors lost billions of dollars in the Caymans, Goldman emerged relatively unscathed, and its profits have soared. Next month, it is expected to distribute more than $16 billion in cash and stock bonuses to its 31,000 employees. This is Greg Gordon for McClatchy Newspapers.